this is what our website looks like on most days. As you can see, you can take a look at the kinds of places that we are doing our reportage from. Sikkim, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Maharashtra, Manipur, Madhya Pradesh, Daman and Diu. And this is just because I could only fit 6 at this point size. I could only fit 6 items on this page. But, and this is just in the last 2 months. It's only September and October that we've been across this range of the country. So our stories come from all over India. A lot of the work that we are doing, a lot of our news reporters, writers, contributors are from places that are very remote that most other media tends to not cover. Look at the kinds of issues that we are discussing. Again, this is only from the last couple of months, only September and October data. We've done a lot of work on demolitions, which, as we know, are being used increasingly as a form of collective punishment against either a community or a group of people or a locality. Of course, hate speech, one of the things that we're doing a lot of work on. We've been writing increasingly about Adivasis, another community that tends to not be in the news as much. Women's Reservation Bill, Muslims who are the target of UP's anti-conversion law. Livelihoods for minorities, including a video on how solar energy is being able to create some livelihoods for trans people. Rohingya refugees, tribals who are fighting deforestation. These are just a list of some of the issues that, look at the range. I'm only showing these to you as an example of the range of things that we are writing about. And each of these is always an in-depth look at the subject. We don't do any 400-word, 200-word, 300-word quick takes. You know, news broke and we want to quickly tell you that it happened. Article 14 does not do that at all. All our work is in-depth. We are very, very committed to nuance and to being able to say that there are wider perspectives to every issue and that we want really to be able to present those wider perspectives. Article 14, as you know, we take our name from Article 14 of the Constitution of India, which you know is one of the most significant of our rights, which is the right to equality. It says the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. So a lot of the work, we are named after Article 14 of the Constitution, so a lot of the work that we are doing tends to focus on violation of these rights, violation of the right to equality and other rights that are enshrined in our Constitution. Our advisory board, our editorial boards are packed with people who have years, decades of experience in various areas. We have academicians, we have people who are running research institutions, research projects, people who are lawyers, practicing lawyers, those who are legal experts. Also a couple of former retired Supreme Court judges. So that's our advisory board. Our advisory board looks through the kinds of subjects that we are taking up in order to report the kinds of subjects that we're taking up to investigate. Our editorial board ensures that there is a great number of rounds of gatekeeping for every story that we publish. Nothing is published without several rounds of fact-checking, etc. Article 14, this line on the left is basically a very quick overview of what Article 14 set out to do, why we were set up. We basically want to look at deficiencies in how the law is being implemented, rights violations. So all the news that you do see in other media websites, portals, on television channels, in the newspapers, we look at all of those things too, except that we look at it from the prism of rights violations, of deficiencies in how the law is being implemented. One of the things we are most interested in is laws that are being used illegally to incarcerate Indians. Also, what is the context in which Article 14 was set up and what is the context in which we operate? Article 14 is a digital-only news publishing house. We don't have a newspaper or a magazine, or we do newsletters, which are also e-newsletters. The reason that we feel that digital is the future is we are not the only ones who say that. You can see that studies by Google, prepared by Dalberg Advisors, recent studies are showing that there's going to be an even greater jump in the number of people who are consuming news digitally than already witnessed. So we expect that by 2026, there will be 700 million Indians reading the news digitally. And we expect that the number of minutes or the amount of time that everyone is spending reading the news digitally will also go up exponentially very soon. Simultaneously, the reason, and that's the reason that Article 14 has such a niche and such a carefully defined objective, is that alongside this huge explosion in the news industry that you see both online and in television and YouTube, etc., simultaneously among Indians there is a dip in how the news is perceived. Everywhere I travel, when I'm asked what I do, if I say I'm a journalist, 10 years ago, there was a great amount of respect. Today, that isn't there. When I travel into parts of India, people look at, when I say I'm a journalist, they say, are you with one of the channels? And there isn't that kind of respect for a journalist anymore because of the kind of degradation of the news media, the mainstream news media, and the traditional news media in the country. That there is actually a decrease. This is a report that is found out just this year, that there is a decrease in how much trust Indians have in the news that is presented to them. We are also unique among those who are in the digital space. As you know, there are a lot of us now publishing news digitally. All of you must be either following one or the other website, or either the site, or on Insta, or on Twitter, or on YouTube. You must be following a lot of our peers in the digital world. But we are unique even amongst them because we are not really running after speed. We are not saying we are the first to break this. We are much more interested in saying that we didn't break it first, but we are telling you the facts. A lot of people will give you opinion. A lot of people will tell you what they think is the crux of a subject. We will tell you what the crux of the subject really is, based on facts, based on data. Everything we do is underlined by our commitment to presenting the raw facts and perspective with those facts, not opinion. So we do a lot of work that is old-fashioned reporting. So we have our contributors, as I showed you earlier, our contributors are from all over India, rural India, parts of India which are difficult to access, parts of India where other news portals cannot afford to maintain reporters because we are so small. We are literally 5 of us who are running the organization. And so because we are so small, we are also nimble, and our freelance contributors come from everywhere. We encourage contributors who are writing for us in different languages and regional languages because we are willing to do the work of translating, of working with them in order to make it a publishable news report. We also take up commissioned reports from organizations, universities. We work with universities in order to do research projects and in-depth investigations on some issues. I'll come to that as we go ahead. A lot of our work is really standing out from a lot of the other work that others do because of the style in which we are presenting it. It's almost academic, but at the same time, it has the flair that journalists have for storytelling. That really is, our work is tinged by that very specific uniqueness. Also, we tend to keep people at the center of our work. All our stories are about people because ultimately rights violations, the misuse of the law, all of these things are impacting people, and so people are at the center of the work that we do. Our contributors, again, going back to what I showed you in the very first slide, our contributors are our lifeblood. They come from every part of the country. They speak different languages. They report in different languages. They speak to us in different languages. They write in different languages. And it really makes our work that much more exciting. We also, apart from working with freelancers, students, field researchers, we're also working with a lot of academicians, legal experts, lawyers, practicing lawyers. So some of our contributors are also lawyers, people who are doing research projects as part of universities, etc. So again, those tend to be accounts of what is happening in the country, based on research, deep research and data, not quick takes on, oh, we just see that the news broke and we have an opinion on it. So all our work is free to use, free to read. Our website has no paywalls, but we have some special offerings for our subscribers. We have 3 kinds of subscription packages, or they're all annual subscription packages. And for our subscribers, we have 2 newsletters that go out. One goes out every week. That's called Field Notes, one of our most popular newsletters, because we actually take our subscribers behind the scenes of the news, because the Field Notes is written by reporters, which are basically accounts of what they felt or what they learned or what they experienced while reporting a story. often happens that we don't put that into the story because the story is really not, the story is only pure reportage, and our experiences or our takeaways or emotions or some conversations that were personal conversations sometimes don't make it into the report, and those things are captured in the behind the scenes newsletter, which is called Field Notes. A lot of very, very interesting accounts have come in our Field Notes from reporters who've been in parts of India that many of us would not otherwise hear from at all. There's also a weekly newsletter that goes out from one of the editorial board members, which is usually analysis of something that's happening in the news right now. Again, this analysis tends to be absolutely 100% fact-checked, also tends to be deeply hyperlinked. Everything is, we offer citations for everything that we are referring to. We also do new book extracts. We also do interviews with authors who are in the news. Additionally, we do book extracts, and those book extracts also go out as exclusives to our subscribers once every month. This is something that we are very, very, very proud of. It's called A Decade of Darkness, the story of sedition in India. Between 2010 and 2021, we found that there are more than 13,000 Indians who were charged under the law that prevents sedition in India. It's a database more than, it's a series of stories about these people. Who are these 13,000 Indians who faced sedition cases? Why did they face sedition cases? What were the troubles they faced because they were charged with sedition? What were their trials like? Some of them are not even, the trials have not even begun in many cases. Why were they charged with sedition? What were the triggers to be charged with sedition? This is a public repository available to all of you. You just have to go to A Decade of Darkness, which is a link on the Article 14 website. And you can go state by state. This is an interactive map, state by state. It tells you how many people were accused and how many cases were filed during that period. The details of most of these cases are also available. We found that we did a series of stories, several stories, a couple of dozen stories perhaps, on these people who face these cases. We found all kinds of instances of people being charged with sedition. Just to give you some examples, a young man was accused of sedition for bursting firecrackers after Pakistan won a cricket match. He said, I wasn't even bursting firecrackers for the match, I was bursting firecrackers for whatever other reason, chasing an animal, wild animal, something like that. But he ended up being charged with sedition. So there's multiple cases of just absolutely bizarre implementation of a draconian law, which, as you know, has been challenged in the Supreme Court also. And in fact, our repository was used by the petitioners who approached the Supreme Court. And this material is available for everyone, and this is something that we are committed to doing more of. Another thing that we do that most of the others tend to be doing less and less is reporting from Kashmir, which is really behind a very thick iron curtain of opacity. No one seems to know what's happening in Kashmir anymore. Article 14 has been committed to continuing to use our freelancers in Kashmir to continue to tell us what's happening there. We're also one of the few who stay with the story. We report from Kashmir, but we're going to continue reporting from Kashmir 6 months later. If we report, for example, the 500 days Kashmiri journalist Fahad Shah's incarceration. So we reported the story when he was incarcerated. We then reported the story when he was when he'd done 2 or 3 months in jail, and then he was getting bail, and then he was charged under a second. He was accused in a second case, or his custody was required in a second case, and so he was not released on bail. So we continue to stay with the story each time. We want our readers to know what the updates are, and we believe that news is not a one-time incident, but is something that impacts all Indians over a period of time. The story on the left is what happened when the sedition law, challenge to the sedition law came up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court released an order, and that was our analysis of what the order really means. We're only 3 years old, but we have won a bunch of awards. We're very happy about that. Also been shortlisted for more awards. I haven't put them all down here. But recently we won 3 awards at the Lardli Awards, which are about gender communication on gender issues. 3 awards for issues for stories that were on gender. So you know that we're doing a lot of work on gender also. We were also among the 10 media companies from across the world who were shortlisted for a global award by the IPI. The IPI is a global network of editors and media organizations, and so that was a huge, huge honor for us. Thank you. These are all our, we are on social on all these platforms, and we hope that you'll follow us. And we'd be very happy to hear more from those of you who have been reading our work or would like to read our work in future. We are very open, we are small, we are open, we want to hear from you. We are capable, we are nimble enough to be able to respond to you when you write to us. So thank you for attending, and do please subscribe to article14.com. Thank you.